My investigation of a local radiation contamination site began when I learned about my father's early death at age 49. My father died of exposure to radioactive substances in the 1950s during the Cold War. This revelation had a profound impact on me. When I reached the same age, I awakened to the world's secrets and decided to conduct more research for my new project called Erasing America. This project, intended as a YouTube channel, aims to uncover and document forgotten and abandoned sites with significant historical and environmental secrets. For 15 years, I have traveled across the USA, exploring closed, abandoned, locked down, and fenced-in sites. My investigations have covered various topics, including America's transformation due to big companies relocating to other countries. It also included the decline of the coal industry, the death of shopping malls, garbage dumps, environmental contamination, and hidden nuclear secrets. This story focuses on a site in my backyard, Cleveland, Ohio. When I first started visiting this site about 12 years ago, it was fenced off with barbed wire, non-operational, and guarded by security personnel. I would drive by day or night, noticing the building next to Harvard Road always had lights on in one room on the second floor, a bizarre sight. I considered sneaking in as I had done at other sites. My decision not to trespass proved wise, as I soon unearthed the problematic history of the property at the 1000 block of Harvard Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio. This was the site of the Harshaw Chemical Company, a pivotal player in the United States nuclear program during the Cold War era. Their involvement can be traced back to World War II, when the Manhattan Engineer District, MED, contracted them to contribute to the atom bomb project by developing uranium chemicals for the government. From 1944 to 1959, Harshaw processed various forms of uranium at their site located at 1000 Harvard Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio. This processed uranium was sent to Oak Ridge, Tennessee, for further processing. By 1949, Harshaw's Harvard Aviator facility had become one of the Manhattan Project's largest producers of uranium chemicals. The 55-acre Harshaw Chemical Company site, bordered by the Cuyahoga River and Big Creek, has a history of chemical manufacturing dating back to 1905. A 1984 radiological survey revealed extensive contamination throughout the site, with major contamination in Plant C and significant levels in 16 other buildings and 32 exterior locations. Soil samples indicated widespread contamination, including suspected contamination of the nearby riverbed. The site contains long-lived isotopes like plutonium-239. However, they are going to do a cleanup. In December 2023, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers awarded a $13.4 million contract for remedial action of operable Units 1 and 2, including removing contaminated fuse wrap-related soil and debris. Maybe it is time to start my story on how this relates to this book. Being a home inspector, I have inspected 18,000 homes full-time in the last 40 years. 30 years ago, I checked a two-family house in a small neighborhood a quarter mile from this Harshaw plant area. During this inspection, one of the tenants in a two-family home I was inspecting told me they had cancer. Then, he said to me, many other neighbors were sick and had cancers. This information did not dawn on me, and I did not think much of it. 10 years later, I was doing another inspection in this area, and a home seller told me many people had cancers in this neighborhood. When I read the newspaper article about constructing the Metro Park bike towpath, I read that this walking bike path had to stop because of an old industrial site. The papers never came clean with all the details because Cleveland newspapers always twisted or spun facts. This is a fact because they did it to me on numerous occasions. The contamination at the Harshaw Chemical Company site has impacted plans to extend the Ohio and Erie Canal towpath trail, part of the Cleveland Metro Park system. In January 2010, it was revealed the planned trail route crossed through radioactive land, required cleanup to avoid long-term exposure hazards. This discovery forced planners to adjust the trail's path near the site. Based on the information provided in the search results, the demolition of the industrial buildings at the former Harshaw Chemical Company site began in December 2014. The search results state USACE dismantled contaminated and radioactive buildings from December 2014 to January 2015 to facilitate further groundwater investigations beneath the building slab. It was 0 degrees on December 26, and the city was shut down. It was Christmas time, and they began demolishing the buildings. Abatement contractors were supposed to be blasting water to stop dust on the building during demolition, but they weren't. The men were standing around the machine, operating and working, all wearing white hazmat suits with what appeared to be full-face respirators. Workers looked up at the bridge and saw me filming, and they shut down the operation and ran to several SUVs to get me. I was gone like the wind. About 6 months later, I saw them loading up the soil, and it was from a stored pile of soil from the winter's demolition. It was a big pile. I followed the dump truck, and he took me for a 1-hour trip around the city. It was like he knew I was following him. We returned to the town, just 10 minutes from the Harshaw site, where we started, plus the dump truck was not covered and pulled into the E55th Street diner. The driver got out of the truck and stared me down. The dump truck contracts knew. I was gone like the wind again. After I quit, the surveillance had a good idea of where this soil was going. This entire nuclear industry is deceiving, sketchy, and secretive. Later, the environmental people held a public meeting on what was going on at the site. Local news only broadcast this meeting 15 minutes before its start at the Holiday Inn. I rushed to it and sat in. The room was full of EPA, government, and other official plants. Of course, I videoed bits and pieces. Only 3 local people, including me and the other 20, were fake and planted, including people, contractors, and the EPA. Government environment groups talked about the site, but never made the news. The environmental system said they would have one more meeting, which I never got details on, and did not attend the same fake show. These types of meetings are prevalent all over the country and world and are scripted and choreographed. The bottom line is radiation in the groundwater might get into the storm water supply. Well, it's been radio silence ever since that. This is typical for the nuclear industry. They spin, choreograph, conceal, and shadow ban the public. I heard they allocated $13.5 million to start a Superfund cleanup. I will bet the stormwater is now contained, which could cause significant problems for Cleveland. I have numerous projects and a busy life, so I eventually stepped back from this surveillance project. Recently, curiosity led me to check on the site's progress. It appeared they were preparing for a Superfund cleanup. On November 3rd, 2024, I visited the site and noticed a security guard in his car. While photographing EPA signs, the guard approached. "What brings you here?" he inquired. "Just taking pictures," I replied. "For what purpose?" "This is a contaminated Superfund site," I explained. The guard nodded. "Contamination? What do you mean?" "That's why I'm here. I started this job 3 months ago, earning $26 an hour to watch the place." "Are you aware it's radioactive?" I asked. "Though someone mentioned it might be," he admitted. Noticing his car parked on old foundations, I warned, "You should move your vehicle. It's not safe there." Without hesitation, the guard rushed to relocate his car. Authorities and we government are still spinning, concealing, and lying 80 years later. This and more can be found in my book, Nuclear Extinction Event is Killing Our Families, on Marko Vovk Books on Amazon, and the link is below. Please like, share, and subscribe.